maybe the law is going to...
On 8th August 2014, the Center for Health, Human Rights and Development hosted judicial officers at Protea Hotel in Kampala to discuss a human rights approach to the criminal justice system in Uganda. The objective of the meeting was to discuss possible ways through which judicial officers can incorporate international and regional instruments which Uganda has ratified while handling cases of human rights, and to discuss best practices and experiences in other jurisdictions in applying a human rights approach to handling cases. The meeting was opened by CEHURD's Programs Coordinator David Kabanda, who noted that in the criminal justice system, there is usually laxity in handling issues of human rights, and stressed the importance of working with judicial officers, being an organization that's oriented towards protection of human rights. In one of the key presentations, Professor Bentrino Mugisha from Makerere University's School of Law highlighted the scope of international and regional instruments recognizing and protecting human rights, including, among others, the Universal Declaration on Human Rights and African Charter on People's Rights, among others. He requested the judicial officers to look beyond the criminal laws when trying offenses and look at the human side of each offense committed and the reasons as to why such offenses may have been committed.
Actually, that takes me to the example I wanted to give earlier. There is recently a defilement case that I handled. The accused person was about 25 years and the victim was 16 years old. So when he pleaded guilty right away, and for me, when somebody pleads guilty, that is already a point that I will not give you life imprisonment. So I was in open court, of course, and I thought of this, and before I wrote my sentence, I asked the guy again, is this your first boyfriend? And she said, no. And I said, who was your first boyfriend? She said, I have a baby of 11 months. Wow. Yes. She said she had a baby of 11 months, and I said, is this the father? And she said, no. The father is actually there. Who was speaking, so I tried to speak, so when I'm there. So, yeah, so I asked the prosecutor, why was it the father of the child prosecuted? And you know, this information was not brought out at all. Even the representative of Compassion knew that she has a baby of 11 months, and this person in court is not the father, but they kept it. They kept it, and she was asking for 25 years. So when I asked the prosecutor why the other person wasn't charged, they said they were thinking of looking for him as well. But because the girl was found in this one's house, it was that person who was charged. So I talked to the accused person who was before me, and I'm like, what happened? How could you get this guy? And they said they had chased her from home because she had given birth. So me, I found her, and since I liked her, I took her home. and of course she was breastfeeding 11 months, and this is information they had kept. So I asked, I had to sentence. The accused person told me to give him at least 2 years instead of life imprisonment. And I told you that people had already asked for 7 years and 25, and after concealing information that this would not be the first filer person. So I gave the accused person 6 months, and the entire courtroom clapped.
For example, the case of a girl who has been raped and tries to procure an abortion and is arrested and brought before the criminal justice system.
Yeah, and one of the things that we found is that actually the procedures of a legal abortion in Uganda are blurred. No one knows what the procedure is, not even the doctors. Some doctors say that for you to carry out a legal abortion, you need the opinion of 2 senior doctors. But they can't help you understand who a senior doctor is. Some say that for you to get abortion, you must go to the Ministry of Health. There is what is it called? The Director General has to convene a board to review every case. Some say that actually you go to the police. So I thought I should just put that in the proper context before you respond.
Yeah. The advocacy we are learning from this literature available is that surely a lot of abortion is taking place there. And why? Simply because of the legal regime. There are people who have justification for the abortions, and because they fear the law, they do it, unfortunately, in those shrines and whatever, and this leads to maternal deaths.
In a similar context, Dr. Kasimbas Emmanuel from Makerere University made a presentation on fair trial in the criminal justice system, which he noted has 3 parts, including pre-trial, trial, and post-trial. He noted that each of these stages have rights attached to them and which could be violated by judicial officers. The presentations were followed by a panel of discussion led by Associate Professor Chris Mbazira, during which he put several questions to the panelists, who included Her Worship Flavia Nabakoza, His Worship Alari Muhira, His Worship James Jeremiah, and Counsel David Kabanda. The highly interactive panel discussed questions like, who are the human rights stakeholders in the criminal justice system? What are the obligations of the judicial officer when they find a violation of human rights? And how to ensure that the human rights of the accused are protected in the criminal justice system. Several contentious issues were raised during the panel discussion, including the admissibility of human rights cases before magistrates' courts, the use of torture to extract evidence and its admissibility, trial of child offenders, the human rights of judicial officers, and how judicial activism can and is being applied to protect human rights in the judicial criminal system. The participants recognized the value of the meeting and requested that such meetings be organized more often and the materials from such meetings be made available to educate them on human rights issues. Center for Health, Human Rights and Development, CEHURD, intends to organize more of such interactions in fulfillment of its quest for the realization of human rights for all.